Welcome back to English in Advance. I am your host, Jessica, and I have to tell you, I am feeling a little bit emotional today. Whether you are listening to this on your morning commute, perhaps while you are cooking dinner, or maybe you are just relaxing with a warm cup of coffee, I want you to know that this connects us. We are here together to do something wonderful for your English fluency. Today is the start of a very special journey. We are not just going to memorize a list of phrases. We are going to dive deep into 60 English sentences that native speakers actually use. These are not the robotic sentences you might find in an old textbook. These are the real, breathing sentences that weave together daily conversations in coffee shops, in offices, and on the street. My goal is for you to feel the rhythm of the language. I want you to understand not just what the words mean, but the emotion behind them and exactly when to use them to sound natural and confident. So, take a deep breath. Relax your shoulders, and let's begin this conversation. We are going to start with the sentences that open doors. These are the greetings and the casual check-ins. You know, when you see a friend you haven't seen in a while, or even a colleague in the hallway, you need more than just hello. The first sentence I want you to master is simple but powerful. It is, "How is it going?" Notice how that sounds. How is it going? This is the absolute classic alternative to asking, "How are you?" It is friendly, it is casual, and it invites an honest but brief answer. When you say, "How is it going?" you are signaling that you are relaxed. Imagine you walk into your favorite bakery and you see the barista who makes your coffee every day. You wouldn't stand at attention and formally ask how they are. You would smile, lean in slightly, and say, "Hey, how is it going?" Let's practice the flow of that. We often connect the words together. It sounds more like, "How's it going?" Try saying that out loud wherever you are right now. How is it going? The intonation usually goes down at the end. How is it going? It is such a useful phrase because it applies to almost any situation where you know the person. It is warm but not too intrusive. Now imagine the other side of that conversation. Someone asks you how things are, but maybe you don't have much news to report. Maybe life is just normal. The second sentence on our list is the perfect response to this. It is same old, same old. This is a lovely, idiomatic way of saying that nothing has really changed, but you are saying it in a way that sounds comfortable with routine. When you say same old, you are telling the listener that life is consistent. It is not negative. It does not mean you are bored. It just means you are steady. Picture this scenario. You run into a friend at the grocery store. They look at you and ask what you've been doing lately. You smile, maybe shrug your shoulders a little bit and say, "Oh, same old, same old." It creates a feeling of camaraderie. It implies that we all have our routines, and that is okay. It is much more natural than saying, "Nothing new is happening." It has a rhythm to it. Same old, same old. Try to feel that bounce in the words when you say it. It makes you sound like a true local speaker. Let's move on to a situation where you meet someone unexpectedly. Maybe you are walking through a park or you are at a shopping mall, and suddenly you see a face you recognize, but you haven't seen them in months or even years. The perfect sentence for this moment is "long time no see." This is such a staple of English conversation. Grammatically, it is a bit fragmented, but it is completely correct in spoken English. It conveys surprise and delight. It immediately bridges the gap of time between you and the other person. Imagine the feeling of excitement. You spot your old university friend. Your eyes go wide. You wave your hand and call out, "Hey, long time no see." It breaks the ice instantly. It acknowledges that time has passed without making anyone feel guilty for not staying in touch. It is just a factual, happy observation. I want you to practice saying this with a smile in your voice, because that is how it is almost always delivered. Long time no see. It is light, it is friendly, and it is the perfect way to restart a connection. Following up on that, once you have established that it has been a long time, you need a good question to keep the conversation moving. You don't want an awkward silence. So sentence number 4 is, what have you been up to? This is the present perfect continuous tense, but don't worry about the grammar terminology. Just focus on the meaning. You are asking for a summary of their life since the last time you saw them. You are asking about their activities, their work, their hobbies, or their family. Think about the difference between this and asking, "What did you do?" What did you do sounds like an interrogation about a specific event, but asking, "What have you been up to?" sounds like you are interested in their life story. It is an open invitation for them to share whatever they feel is important. You might say, "Long time no see, Jessica. What have you been up to?" It shows you care. It shows you want to listen. And when you say it, link the words. It often sounds like, "What you been up to?" Native speakers blend these sounds. Listen closely to the rhythm. What have you been up to? It is soft and curious. Now, let's shift gears a little bit. Sometimes life isn't perfect, but we want to stay positive. Or sometimes life is actually pretty good, and we want to acknowledge that without bragging. Sentence number 5 is, can't complain. This is a classic response when someone asks how you are. It is very stoic and very common in English-speaking cultures. It suggests that while things might not be perfect, you are grateful that they aren't worse. It is a humble way of saying, "I am good." Imagine you are at work and you are tired. You have a lot of paperwork to do. Your colleague asks how your day is going. You don't want to whine, but you also don't want to lie and say it is amazing. So you just say, "Can't complain." It signals that you are handling your business. It is a very mature, grounded response. It is short, punchy, and very effective. Try saying it with a little nod of your head. Can't complain. It shuts down any need for drama and keeps the interaction smooth and professional. Moving deeper into conversation, we often need to express that we are listening and that we agree with what the other person is saying. You know that feeling when someone is telling you a story and you want to support them? Sentence number 6 is, that's a good point. This is essential for being an active listener. It validates the other person's opinion. It shows you are processing what they are saying and you find value in it. Let's picture a scenario where you are discussing where to go for dinner with a group of friends. One friend says that the Italian place is too crowded on Fridays. You hadn't thought of that. So you look at them and say, "That's a good point." It builds consensus. It makes the other person feel smart and heard. Even in a business meeting, if someone suggests a new strategy, saying, "That's a good point," is a great way to show you are a team player. It is polite, affirmative, and very useful. Practice emphasizing the word good. That's a good point. Sometimes, however, you need to express that you appreciate someone's help or their patience. We often say thank you, but sometimes thank you feels a bit repetitive. Sentence number 7 is, I appreciate that. This phrase carries a little more weight than a simple thanks. It feels sincere. It feels personal. If someone holds the elevator door open for you when you are rushing, looking them in the eye and saying, "I appreciate," that creates a moment of genuine connection. Use this when someone does you a favor. Maybe a coworker covered your shift, or a friend listened to you vent about a bad day. You can say, "Thank you for listening. I really appreciate that." It deepens the gratitude. It tells the person that their action didn't go unnoticed. It is a beautiful sentence to have in your vocabulary because it spreads kindness. Say it slowly and meaningfully. I appreciate that. Feel the warmth in those words. Now, what if you are the one receiving the thanks? You need a smooth, cool way to accept gratitude. Sentence number 8 is, "No worries." This is incredibly popular, especially in modern English. It is originally Australian, but now the whole English-speaking world uses it. It means you are welcome, but it also means it was no trouble at all. It is very relaxed. It tells the other person that they don't need to feel indebted to you. Imagine you lend your pen to someone. They return it and say thanks. You just smile and say, "No worries." It keeps the energy light. It is perfect for small favors. Did you bump into someone by accident and they apologize? You can say, "No worries." It is a verbal way of shrugging your shoulders and smiling. It instantly diffuses tension. It is friendly and effortless. Practice it. No worries. It is almost like a musical phrase. Let's transition to making plans. This is a huge part of daily life. You want to hang out with friends, but you need to check their availability. Sentence number 9 is, "What are you up to later?" This is similar to asking, "What have you been up to?" but it focuses on the immediate future. It is a casual way of asking, "Are you busy?" You are testing the waters to see if they are free to do something with you. Imagine it is Friday afternoon. You are thinking about getting some pizza. You text your friend or you call them and ask, "Hey, what are you up to later?" It is a low-pressure invitation. If they are busy, they can say so. If they are free, they will tell you. It sounds much more natural than asking, "What are your plans for the remainder of the day?" It is colloquial and easy. What are you up to later? Notice the linking again. It often sounds like, "What you up to later?" Try to adopt that relaxed pronunciation. If you are the one making the suggestion, you want to sound enthusiastic. Sentence number 10 is, "I'm down for that." This is slang, but it is very common slang. It simply means, "I agree," or "I would like to do that." If your friend asks if you want to go to the movies and you think it is a great idea, you say, "I'm down for that." Or even shorter, just, "I'm down." It shows eagerness. It shows you are on the same page. Picture your group of friends deciding on a road trip. Someone suggests going to the beach. You want to show your support immediately. You say, "I'm down for that." It is energetic. It is youthful, but adults use it all the time in casual settings. It is a great way to say yes without being boring. It adds a bit of personality to your agreement. I am down for that. Sometimes plans are not so clear. Sometimes you are unsure about a decision. Sentence number 11 is, "I'm on the fence." Imagine a fence dividing 2 gardens. If you are sitting on the fence, you are not on one side or the other. You are in the middle. This idiom means you haven't decided yet. You are considering both options. Let's say you are at a store trying to decide whether to buy a blue shirt or a red shirt. A sales assistant asks if you have decided. You can say, "I'm still on the fence." It explains your hesitation perfectly. It implies you are weighing the pros and cons. It is a very visual idiom, which makes it easy to remember. Use this when you want to buy time before making a choice. Well, I'm on the fence about it. It sounds thoughtful and descriptive. Now let's talk about understanding. When someone is explaining something complicated or perhaps something emotional and you want to show that you truly comprehend their situation, sentence number 12 is, I get it. This is short but powerful. It means I understand, but it often implies a deeper level of empathy. It means I understand your position, your feelings, and your logic. If a friend explains why they are upset about a breakup, saying, I get it, is very comforting. It validates their feelings. If a colleague explains why they missed a deadline because of personal issues, saying, I get it, shows compassion. It is much warmer than simply saying, I understand. It feels more human. It connects you to the other person's experience. Say it with a falling intonation to show empathy. I get it. On the flip side, sometimes we make mistakes. We are only human after all. When you mess up, you need a quick, sincere way to acknowledge it. Sentence number 13 is, my bad. This is a very casual apology. You wouldn't use this in a serious legal situation or a formal business crisis, but for everyday slips, it is perfect. Did you step on someone's toe? My bad. Did you forget to bring the snacks you promised? My bad. It takes ownership of the mistake without making it a huge tragedy. It says, I admit I made a mistake, and I am sorry. It is lighthearted. It keeps the relationship easy. Imagine playing a sport and you miss the ball. You yell out, my bad, to your teammates. It lets them know you made an error and you will do better next time. It is a very useful phrase for social smoothing. My bad. Moving on to when you need to leave a conversation or a place. You don't just want to disappear. You want to announce your departure politely. Sentence number 14 is, I better get going. This is the standard way to signal that you need to leave. It suggests that you have other responsibilities or that time is running out, but it places the pressure on you, not the person you are talking to. You are having a great chat, but you look at your watch and realize you are late. You say, anyway, I better get going. It is a soft exit. It prepares the other person for the goodbye. It is much less abrupt than saying, I am leaving now. It implies reluctance, as if you would prefer to stay, but you have to go. It is polite and socially graceful. I better get going. Practice saying it as you stand up from a chair. It usually accompanies the physical action of leaving. And finally, for this first section of our journey, sentence number 15 is, keep me in the loop. This is a fantastic business and social phrase. It means please keep me informed about any updates or changes. If you are planning a surprise party with friends, you want to know the details as they happen. You tell the organizer, keep me in the loop. If you are working on a project and your boss is going to a meeting about it, you ask them to keep you in the loop regarding the outcome. It shows you are interested and involved. It comes from the idea of a loop of information. If you are in the loop, you know what is going on. If you are out of the loop, you don't. So asking someone to keep you in the loop is asking to be included. It is a very professional yet friendly way to stay connected to a situation. Having mastered these essential openers and closers, we are going to go deeper. We are moving beyond the simple hellos and goodbyes. We are stepping into the territory of opinions, emotions, decision-making, and navigating the complexities of daily life. The sentences we are going to explore next are the ones you need when life gets a little bit messy. They are the phrases for when you need to solve a problem, when you need to comfort a friend, or when you are just surprised by how the world works. We are starting this next phase with sentence number 16, which is one of the most comforting phrases in the English language. It is, "It's not a big deal." This is the phrase of forgiveness and perspective. Think about how often we worry about small mistakes. Maybe you spill a little bit of water on the table, or you are 5 minutes late to a meeting with a friend. You feel anxious, you apologize profusely. The most gracious thing the other person can say to you is, "It's not a big deal." This sentence literally means that the problem is small. It is manageable. It is not a giant mountain. It is just a tiny hill. When you say this to someone, you are giving them a gift. You are relieving their stress. Imagine a waiter drops a fork at your table in a restaurant. They look terrified. You smile calmly and say, "Don't worry, it's not a big deal." You can hear the relief in the air. It changes the atmosphere from tense to relaxed. Practice the rhythm of it. It's not a big deal. The stress usually falls on the word big. It is not a big deal. By minimizing the problem, you maximize the relationship. It shows that you value the person more than the mistake. It is a sign of emotional maturity and kindness. Now let's move to the realm of logic and discussion. Sentence number 17 is, "That makes sense." This is a critical phrase for conversations where you are learning something or where someone is explaining their point of view. It does not necessarily mean you agree 100%, but it means you follow the logic. You understand the reasoning. Imagine you are trying to solve a puzzle, and your friend points out a piece that fits perfectly. You look at it, the light bulb goes on in your head, and you say, "Ah, that makes sense." It is a verbal nod. It tells the speaker that their communication was successful. It validates their explanation. Even in an argument, if someone explains why they are upset, saying, "That makes sense," can de-escalate the anger. It shows you are not fighting their reality. You are acknowledging it. It is a bridge between two minds. Try saying it slowly, as if you are pondering a deep thought. That makes sense. It sounds thoughtful, intelligent, and engaged. Building on that empathy, sentence number 18 is, "I see where you're coming from." This is a beautiful diplomatic phrase. It is stronger than just understanding logic. It is about understanding perspective. It implies that you can visualize the other person's background, their motivations, and their feelings. You are standing in their shoes. Let's say you and a colleague disagree on a project timeline. They want more time because they are worried about quality. You want to finish fast. Instead of just saying, "I disagree," you say, "I see where you're coming from regarding the quality concerns." This softens the blow. It tells them that their opinion is valid, even if you are about to suggest something else. It is a phrase of respect. It creates a safe space for disagreement because it starts with validation. "I see where you're coming from." It is almost visual. You are looking at the situation from their vantage point. Use this when you want to be a peacemaker or a collaborative leader. But what happens when you truly cannot agree? When you have discussed the topic for hours and neither of you is going to change your mind? That brings us to sentence number 19, which is, "Let's agree to disagree." This is the mature way to end a stalemate. It is a way of saying that our relationship is more important than this argument. We can hold different opinions and still be friends. Picture a dinner party where the conversation turns to politics, or perhaps which sports team is the best. The debate is getting heated. Voices are getting louder. You realize that no one is going to win. You can smile, Raise your hand slightly in a gesture of peace and say, "You know what, let's agree to disagree." It is a sophisticated way to change the subject. It preserves dignity for everyone involved. It stops the conflict without anyone having to surrender. It is a very useful tool in your social toolkit. Let's agree to disagree. It has a nice rhythmic balance to it. It sounds final but friendly. Now, let's talk about planning, or rather, the lack of planning. Sometimes life is unpredictable. You don't always know what you will want to do on a Saturday night. Sentence number 20 is play it by ear. This is a wonderful idiom that comes from music. When a musician plays by ear, they aren't reading sheet music. They are listening and improvising. They are feeling the moment. When you use this phrase in daily life, it means you don't want to make a firm plan yet. You want to see how the situation develops. Imagine your friend asks, "Do you want to go to the cinema after dinner?" You aren't sure if you will be tired. You aren't sure how long dinner will take. So you say, "Let's play it by ear." It gives you freedom. It means let's decide later, based on how we feel. It implies flexibility and spontaneity. It is the perfect phrase for a relaxed weekend or a vacation where you don't want a strict schedule. We will just play it by ear. It sounds breezy and carefree. Sometimes, however, you need to be serious. You have a big decision to make. Maybe a job offer or buying a house. You shouldn't decide instantly. Sentence number 21 is, "I need to sleep on it." This phrase acknowledges the wisdom of time. It literally means you want to go to bed, sleep, and wake up with a fresh perspective before answering. If a salesperson is pushing you to buy a car today, you can step back and say, "I like it, but I need to sleep on it." It buys you time without being rude. It shows you are a thoughtful person who takes decisions seriously. It is universally understood in English culture that sleeping on a decision is a valid reason to delay. It removes the pressure of the immediate moment. Practice saying it firmly but politely. "I'm going to sleep on it and let you know tomorrow." It projects confidence and self-control. Let's move to a moment of precision. When someone says something that is exactly right, that perfectly describes a situation, sentence number 22 is, "You hit the nail on the head." Imagine a carpenter hammering a nail. If they hit it exactly on the head, it goes in straight and perfect. If they miss, it bends. So when you tell someone you hit the nail on the head, you are telling them their analysis was perfect. They identified the core of the issue. Maybe you are trying to figure out why a project failed, and your coworker suggests it was a lack of communication. If you agree that was the exact cause, you say, "You hit the nail on the head." It is a high compliment regarding someone's intelligence or insight. It feels satisfying to say. Hit the nail on the head. It emphasizes accuracy and truth. Now, we need to cover some emotional reactions. Life is full of surprises, both good and bad. Sentence number 23 is, "You've got to be kidding me." This is a versatile phrase. The meaning depends entirely on your tone of voice. It can express delight or it can express frustration. Imagine you walk into your office and find a surprise birthday cake on your desk. You smile, put your hands over your mouth, and say, "You've got to be kidding me." In this context, it means this is too good to be true. I am so happy. But now, imagine you walk out to your car and see you have a flat tire. You drop your shoulders, groan, and say, "You've got to be kidding me." In this context, it means I cannot believe this bad luck. It is a phrase of disbelief. It is very human. It captures that moment of shock before you process the reality. Listen to the native speakers around you. You will hear this phrase constantly in movies and on the street. Closely related to frustration is sentence number 24. Give me a break. This is often used when you are annoyed or skeptical. If someone is making ridiculous excuses for why they are late, you might think, or even say, "Oh, give me a break." It means stop talking nonsense. It means you don't believe them. It can also be used when you are just exhausted by bad luck. If you drop your toast, then it starts raining, and then you miss your bus, you might look up at the sky and say, "Give me a break." You are asking the universe for a pause in the difficulty. It is a way to vent frustration quickly. It is sharp and dismissive. Give me a break. Be careful with this one. It can sound rude if you say it to a boss or a stranger, but with friends or to yourself, it is a great stress reliever. Let's switch back to positivity and support. We all go through tough times. When a friend is struggling, maybe studying for a hard exam or dealing with a breakup, sentence number 25 is hang in there. This is a visual phrase. Imagine someone hanging onto a cliff by their fingertips. You are telling them not to let go. You are telling them to endure. It is a phrase of encouragement and resilience. It means be patient, things will get better. If your colleague is stressed about a deadline, you bring them a coffee and say, "Hang in there, it's almost over." It is a gentle, supportive nudge. It reminds them that they are strong enough to survive the moment. It is short, sweet, and very powerful. Hang in there. It implies that you are with them in spirit. Sometimes, however, gentle support isn't enough. Sometimes someone is panicking and they need a reality check. Sentence number 26 is pull yourself together. This is tough love. It is a command to regain composure. It means stop crying, stop shaking, and focus. You would use this in a high-pressure situation. Maybe before a big presentation, your partner is freaking out. You grab their shoulders, look them in the eye, and say, "You can do this." Pull yourself together. It is a call to action. It summons their inner strength. It is not necessarily mean. It is urgent. It says that the situation requires their best self right now. It is about gathering your scattered emotions into a focused beam of energy. Pull yourself together. Let's check in on progress. You have started a new project or a new habit. Someone asks how it is going. Sentence number 27 is, "So far, so good." This is a cautiously optimistic phrase. It means that up until this specific moment, everything has gone well. It implies that you know challenges might come later, but for now, you are winning. How is the new job? So far, so good. How is the diet going? So far, so good. It is a very honest assessment. It doesn't promise perfection forever, but it celebrates the current success. It is light and rhythmic. So far, so good. It is a standard answer that makes you sound modest, yet successful. Now for a fun coincidence, sentence number 28 is, "Speaking of the devil." Do not worry, this has nothing to do with evil. It is an idiom used when you are talking about someone, and then they suddenly appear. You are chatting with a friend about John, and suddenly John walks into the room. You say, "Hey, speaking of the devil." It is actually a shortened version of an old proverb that said, "Speak of the devil and he shall appear." But in modern English, it is just a funny way to acknowledge the timing. It lets the person know you were just discussing them, but usually in a light-hearted way. It breaks the tension of being caught talking about someone. It turns the coincidence into a joke. Speaking of the devil, It is a classic social lubricant. We are getting towards the end of this section, and we want to focus on efficiency. Sometimes people talk too much. They give too many details, and you just want the main point. Sentence number 29 is cut to the chase. This comes from old movies where the audience would get bored with the dialogue and just want to see the chase scene, the action. When you use this, you are asking someone to get to the important part. If a meeting is dragging on, a manager might say, "Let's cut to the chase. Are we making a profit or not?" It signals a desire for directness. It cuts away the fluff. You can also use it on yourself. If you realize you are telling a boring story, you can say, "Anyway, I'll cut to the chase and tell you what happened." It shows you value everyone's time. It is crisp and professional. Finally, for this section, we have sentence number 30, which is a philosophy for life. Better safe than sorry. This is the motto of the prudent person. It means it is better to be careful and prepared now, rather than regretting it later. Why are you bringing an umbrella when it is sunny? Well, better safe than sorry. Why are you double-checking the lock on the door? Better safe than sorry. It justifies caution. It is a very common proverb that explains why we take preventative measures. It sounds wise. It sounds responsible. When you use this, you are telling the world that you are a person who thinks ahead. Better safe than sorry. We have now built a strong foundation. You have learned how to greet people naturally, how to handle apologies, and how to navigate disagreements with grace. You are building a repertoire of sentences that transform you from a student of English into a user of English. There's a big difference. A student studies rules, but a user lives the language. And today, we are going to continue that transformation. In this next section, we are going to look at sentences 31 through 45. These are the phrases that add color and nuance to your storytelling. They are the phrases that help you explain complicated feelings, keep secrets, and describe the ups and downs of daily life. These are the sentences that make your English sound rich and three-dimensional. Let's begin with a phrase that is perfect for storytelling. We all love to tell stories about our day, especially when things go wrong. Sometimes a bad situation gets even worse, and you need a way to transition between the bad part and the terrible part. Sentence number 31 is, to make matters worse. This is a classic storytelling bridge. It signals to the listener that the drama is escalating. It builds suspense. Imagine you are telling a friend about a disastrous morning. You say, "I woke up late and missed my bus." That is already bad. But then you add, "To make matters worse, it started raining and I didn't have an umbrella." Do you feel the impact of that phrase? It connects the two unfortunate events and emphasizes the frustration. It is much more dramatic than just saying, "And then it rained." When you use "to make matters worse," you are inviting the listener to sympathize with you. You are framing the story as a series of unfortunate events. It pulls them to the edge of their seat. You can also use it in a professional context. For example, the project was already delayed, and to make matters worse, the server crashed. It helps you structure your explanation of problems clearly and effectively. Now, let's move to a situation where you want to empower someone else. You don't want to make the decision for them. You want to give them the freedom to choose. Sentence number 32 is, "It's up to you." This is the ultimate phrase of deferral. It means the choice is yours. It places the responsibility and the freedom in the other person's hands. Picture yourself deciding on a movie to watch with your partner. They ask what you want to see. You are easygoing, so you say it's up to you. It means I am happy with whatever you decide. It is polite and flexible. However, be careful with the tone. If you say it aggressively, like it's up to you, it can sound like you don't care or you are annoyed. But if you say it with a smile and an open gesture, it's up to you. It is a gift of choice. It is very useful when you genuinely don't have a preference and you want to be an accommodating friend or colleague. It is short, punchy, and very common. Sometimes, when we express an opinion, we worry that people might misunderstand us. We want to clarify that we aren't being negative, even if we are giving a critique. Sentence number 33 is, don't get me wrong, this is a conversational safety net. You use it before or after a statement to prevent a misunderstanding. It is often followed by a but. For example, imagine you are discussing a restaurant. You might say, the food was delicious, don't get me wrong, but the service was really slow. By saying, don't get me wrong, you are assuring the listener that you like the food. You are balancing the negative comment about the service with a positive disclaimer. It softens the criticism. It tells the other person, I am not attacking everything. I am just pointing out one specific issue. It is excellent for diplomatic conversations. If you are declining an invitation, you might say, I would love to come, don't get me wrong, but I have too much work tonight. It preserves the relationship while allowing you to say no. It shows you care about how your words are interpreted. Let's shift to the world of secrets and privacy. We all have information that we aren't ready to share with the world yet. Sentence number 34 is keep it under wraps. This is a vivid idiom. Imagine a present wrapped in paper so no one can see what is inside. When you ask someone to keep it under wraps, you are asking them to keep a secret or to keep a project confidential until the right time. You might tell a coworker, we are planning a surprise party for the boss, so please keep it under wraps. It sounds much more interesting than saying, please don't tell anyone. It implies a temporary secrecy, suggesting that eventually the wraps will come off and the secret will be revealed. It is often used in business for new product launches. We are developing a new app, but we are keeping it under wraps for now. It creates a sense of an inner circle. By telling someone to keep it under wraps, you are inviting them into that circle of trust. But what happens when the secret gets out? What happens when someone accidentally reveals the surprise? That brings us to sentence number 35. Let the cat out of the bag. This is one of the most famous idioms in English. It means to reveal a secret, usually by accident. Imagine you are planning that surprise party, and your friend accidentally mentions it to the birthday girl. You would say, oh no, you let the cat out of the bag. It is a colorful way to describe the spill. It implies that once the cat is out, you cannot put it back in. The secret is loose. You can also use it to describe your own actions. I didn't mean to let the cat out of the bag about the promotion. It is a phrase that native speakers use constantly because it adds a bit of imagery to the concept of information leaking. It turns a mistake into a recognizable social scenario. Now let's talk about frequency. Some things happen every day, like drinking coffee. Some things happen very rarely. To describe something that almost never happens, we use sentence number 36, once in a blue moon. This is a poetic way of saying very rarely. A blue moon is a real astronomical phenomenon, but it is rare, which is where the phrase comes from. If someone asks, do you ever go to the gym and you go maybe twice a year, you can laugh and say, Only once in a blue moon. It emphasizes the rarity. Do you eat fast food? Once in a blue moon. It is a great phrase because it is not precise. It doesn't mean once a year or once a decade. It just means hardly ever. It adds a whimsical storytelling quality to your answer. It is much more engaging than simply saying rarely. It paints a picture. After a long day of work or study, there comes a moment when you just cannot do anymore. You are finished. You are ready to stop. Sentence number 37 is, let's call it a day. This is the universal signal to end a work session. It means let us stop working for today and go home. Imagine you and your team have been working on a report for 8 hours. Everyone is tired. Their eyes are glazing over. You stand up, clap your hands together once, and say, "You know what? We have done good work. Let's call it a day." It is a phrase of release. It gives everyone permission to relax. It implies that you will pick it up again tomorrow, but for now, the day is done. It is a leadership phrase. It shows you respect people's energy levels. You can even use it on yourself. I am exhausted. I think I'm going to call it a day. It is a decisive and satisfying way to close a chapter of activity. And what do you do after you call it a day? Usually, you go home and eventually go to sleep. Sentence number 38 is hit the sack. This is very informal slang for going to bed. It comes from the old days when mattresses were literally sacks filled with hay. You wouldn't use this in a formal business meeting, but with friends or family, it is perfect. You are yawning, looking at your watch, and you say, "All right, everyone, I'm going to hit the sack." It sounds rugged and casual. It implies you are tired and you are going to sleep deeply. It is similar to hit the hay, which is another variation. It adds a bit of character to your routine. Instead of the robotic, "I am going to sleep," you say, "I'm going to hit the sack." It sounds like a native speaker who is comfortable with the casual rhythms of home life. Sometimes, though, you aren't just tired. You are feeling sick. Not terribly sick, just a little bit off. Maybe a headache. Maybe a slight cold. Sentence number 39 is under the weather. This is the polite standard way to say you are not feeling well without giving too many gross details. If you call your boss to take a sick day, you say, "I'm feeling a bit under the weather today." It is professional. It suggests you are temporarily unwell, but it is not a life-threatening emergency. It comes from maritime history, where sailors would go below deck when the weather was bad to avoid seasickness. Now, it just means you are not at 100%. Use this when you want sympathy, but you want to maintain your privacy. "I can't make it to the party tonight. I'm feeling a little under the weather." It is a graceful excuse. Let's turn back to optimism. When things are going wrong or when someone is feeling under the weather, we want to cheer them up. We want them to see the positive side. Sentence number 40 is look on the bright side. This is an encouragement to find the silver lining in a bad situation. If your friend loses their job, they might be devastated. You might say, look on the bright side. Now you have the freedom to find a career you actually love. It challenges them to shift their perspective from the negative darkness to the positive light. It is a phrase of hope. However, you must use it with empathy. If you say it too quickly, it can sound dismissive. But if you say it with genuine care, look on the bright side. It can be a beacon of support. It reminds us that almost every situation has a positive angle if we look hard enough. Now let's talk about learning new skills. Learning English, for example, is a process. At first, it is hard. Then it starts to click. When you start to understand how something works, sentence number 41 is, I'm getting the hang of it. This is a phrase of progress. It means you are in the process of mastering a skill. Imagine you are learning to drive a car. The first few days are terrifying. But by the second week, you are shifting gears smoothly. Your instructor asks how you feel. You say, I think I'm getting the hang of it. It implies confidence. It means you are not an expert yet, but you are no longer a beginner. You are in that sweet spot of improvement. Use this to encourage yourself. When you practice these sentences and they start to feel natural, you can tell yourself, I am getting the hang of English idioms. It is a celebration of the learning curve. Sometimes, before you can get the hang of something, you have to be brave enough to try it. You might be afraid of failure. Sentence number 42 is, give it a shot. This is a motivational phrase. It means try it, take a chance, attempt it. If your friend is hesitant to apply for a promotion because they don't think they are qualified, you say, you have nothing to lose. Give it a shot. It frames the attempt as a quick, low-stakes action. A shot is just one attempt. If you miss, you miss. But you have to take the shot to score. It is very common in American English. Hey, I've never cooked lasagna before, but I'm going to give it a shot tonight. It shows a spirit of adventure and willingness to learn. It pushes past the fear of perfection. Give it a shot. However, before you can give it a shot, you often have to make a choice. And sometimes, making a choice is the hardest part. You waver back and forth. You are indecisive. Sentence number 43 is, make up your mind. This is a direct command to decide. It means settle your thoughts and choose one path. It can be used impatiently. If you are waiting for someone to order dinner and they have been looking at the menu for 20 minutes, you might jokingly say, come on, make up your mind. But it can also be an internal dialogue. You might tell yourself, I need to make up my mind about where to go on vacation. It describes the mental process of collecting your thoughts into a final decision. It is the opposite of being on the fence. When you make up your mind, you step off the fence and commit. It is a strong, decisive phrase. Occasionally, we make decisions or say things that we don't really mean, usually because we are angry or excited. To explain this behavior, we use sentence number 44, in the heat of the moment. This is a phrase of explanation and often apology. It refers to a time when emotions were high and logic was low. If you shouted at a friend during an argument and you regret it later, you can apologize by saying, I didn't mean what I said. It was just in the heat of the moment. It asks for forgiveness by explaining the context. It admits that you lost control temporarily. It is a very human phrase because we all have those moments where our emotions take the steering wheel. Recognizing that something happened in the heat of the moment helps to repair relationships. It separates the person from the action. It says, that wasn't the real me. That was just the anger speaking. Finally, for this section, we have a phrase about deep understanding. Sometimes a concept is so strange or complex that your brain has trouble accepting it. Sentence number 45 is wrap your head around it. This is a visual metaphor. Imagine your mind trying to physically surround an idea to understand it completely. If you are trying to understand a complex new technology, you might say, I'm still trying to wrap my head around how this works. It implies that the idea is big and difficult. It is a humble way of admitting that you are struggling to understand, but you are trying. You can also use it for shocking news. I can't wrap my head around the fact that he moved to Australia. It means the reality is so surprising that your brain hasn't processed it yet. It is a fantastic phrase for expressing intellectual struggle or sheer amazement. We have arrived at the final chapter of our journey. We have walked a long path together. We started with the simple act of saying hello. We navigated through the choppy waters of arguments and apologies. We learned how to tell stories, and now we are here to place the final stones in the foundation of your English fluency. The following phrases are the sentences of wisdom, of memory, of taking risks, and of saying meaningful goodbyes. We are going to start with a phrase that acknowledges exactly how we are feeling right now. Sentence number 46 is time flies. This is a short sentence, but it carries a heavy emotional weight. It means that time passes far too quickly. It expresses surprise at how fast a moment, a year, or even a lifetime has gone by. Think about how you feel when you look at old photographs. You see yourself from 5 years ago and you think, wow, time flies. It is the perfect thing to say when you are catching up with an old friend. You sit down for coffee, you talk for what feels like 5 minutes, and suddenly you realize 3 hours have passed. You look at your watch and say, I can't believe it is 5 o'clock already. Time flies when you are having fun. That is the full idiom, but often we just say, time flies. It is a shared observation about the human condition. It connects us because we are all fighting against the clock. Use this phrase to show that you cherish the moment and that you recognize how fleeting it is. Since time is moving so fast, sometimes we miss our deadlines. We don't always get things done when we want to. That brings us to sentence number 47. Better late than never. This is the optimist's excuse. It means that it is better to do something late than to not do it at all. It is a phrase of forgiveness and encouragement. Imagine you forgot your friend's birthday. It was yesterday. You feel terrible. You call them today with a gift and an apology. You can smile sheepishly and say, well, better late than never. It acknowledges the lateness, but focuses on the fact that you are still showing up. It is also great for goals. If you start learning English at age 50 or 60 or 70, people might ask why you are starting now. You can proudly say, better late than never. It validates your effort regardless of the timeline. It takes the pressure off perfection and places the value on action. Now let's talk about memory. Have you ever heard a name or a song that sounds familiar, but you can't quite place it? You know you have heard it before, but the details are fuzzy. Sentence number 48 is, that rings a bell. This is a wonderful visual idiom. Imagine a little bell inside your brain. When a memory is triggered, the bell rings. If someone asks you, do you know a man named Steve Johnson? And you think you might have met him once at a party, you say, the name rings a bell, but I can't remember his face. It is a way of saying the information is familiar but not clear. It is very useful in detective movies, but also in daily office life. If your boss asks if you remember the new policy, you can say, it rings a bell, reminding them that you have heard of it, but might need a refresher. It is a soft way of admitting you don't have total recall without saying you have forgotten completely. Sometimes, the memory is even closer than that. You know the word. You can feel the word. It is right there, ready to be spoken, but your brain just won't release it. Sentence number 49 is, it's on the tip of my tongue. This is a phrase of pure frustration. We have all been there. You are trying to recommend a movie to a friend. You know the actor, you know the plot, but the title is hiding. You snap your fingers and say, what is it called? It's on the tip of my tongue. It tells the listener that you know the answer and you are fighting to retrieve it. It asks for their patience. It creates a moment of suspense where everyone is waiting for you to find the word, and usually 10 minutes later, you will shout it out. Use this phrase when you want to show that you are trying to remember, so the other person doesn't think you are ignoring their question. It is a very relatable human experience. Let's shift from memory to management and encouragement. When someone is doing a great job, you want them to continue. You want to validate their effort. Sentence number 50 is keep up the good work. This is the gold standard of praise. It is professional, kind, and motivating. If you are a parent and your child brings home a good report card, you say keep up the good work. If you are a manager and your team finishes a project early, you tell them keep up the good work. It implies that you have noticed their quality and you want it to sustain. It is much better than just saying good job because good job looks at the past, while keep up the good work looks at the future. It encourages consistency. Even if you are just a friend helping another friend who is training for a marathon, telling them to keep up the good work can be the fuel they need to keep going. However, things don't always go according to plan. Sometimes a situation spirals out of control. It becomes chaotic. Sentence number 51 is things are getting out of hand. Imagine holding a handful of sand. If you hold it tight, it stays. But if there is too much, it slips through your fingers. It gets out of your hand. We use this when a situation becomes unmanageable. If a small party suddenly has 200 people and the neighbors are calling the police, the party has gotten out of hand. If a small argument about doing the dishes turns into a screaming match about your entire relationship, it has gotten out of hand. It is a phrase of warning. It signals that we need to stop and regain control. If you feel overwhelmed at work, you can tell your supervisor, "I need help. This workload is getting out of hand." It is a serious phrase that demands attention. Sometimes, when things are getting out of hand, people try to cheat to save time. They skip important steps. Sentence number 52 is don't cut corners. To cut a corner means to go diagonally across a turn instead of following the proper path. It is faster, but it is lazy and often results in poor quality. If you are building a house, you don't want the builder to cut corners, or the roof might fall down. If you are learning English, you can't cut corners. You have to learn the grammar and the vocabulary. You cannot skip to fluency without the work. Using this phrase shows that you value quality and integrity. It is a stern piece of advice. If you are mentoring someone, you might tell them, if you want to be the best, you can never cut corners. It defines your character as someone who does things the right way, even when it is hard. Now let's look at a situation where you have done everything you can, and now you are waiting for someone else to respond. Sentence number 53 is, the ball is in your court. This comes from tennis. If I hit the ball over the net to you, I cannot do anything else until you hit it back. I am waiting. This is perfect for negotiations. You make an offer on a house. You tell the seller the ball is in your court. It means it is your turn to decide. I am done talking. Now I am waiting for your action. It is also useful in relationships. If you have apologized to a friend for a mistake and they haven't forgiven you yet, You can say, I have said I am sorry. The ball is in your court now. It releases you from the anxiety of doing more. It sets a boundary. It clarifies who has the responsibility to act next. Sometimes, the action we need to take is unpleasant. We don't want to do it. We are scared or dreading it, but we know we must. Sentence number 54 is bite the bullet. This is a vivid, slightly historical idiom. It comes from the days before anesthesia, where soldiers had to bite on a leather strap or a bullet to endure pain during surgery. Today, it means to face a painful or difficult situation with courage and just get it over with. Maybe you have to go to the dentist. You hate the dentist. But you have a toothache. You tell yourself, I just have to bite the bullet and make the appointment. Maybe you have to have a difficult conversation with your boss about a raise. You are nervous. But you decide to bite the bullet. It implies bravery. It implies that you are accepting the pain to get to the result. It is a very strong, masculine kind of phrase, but everyone uses it. It shows determination. Eventually, we realize that some of these bad experiences were actually good for us. We look back and see that a tragedy was actually a gift. Sentence number 55 is, it was a blessing in disguise. This is one of the most philosophical sentences in English. A disguise is a mask or a costume, so a blessing in disguise is a good thing wearing the mask of a bad thing. Imagine you lose your job. It feels terrible. You are depressed. But because you lost that job, you went back to school, learned a new skill, and started your own business which you love. Looking back, you say losing that job was a blessing in disguise. It teaches us to trust the process of life. It helps us comfort others. If your friend goes through a breakup, you might gently suggest that one day they might see this as a blessing in disguise because it frees them to meet the right person. It is a phrase of hope and hindsight. As we move towards the end of our list, we need a phrase for skepticism. We live in a world of information overload, and not everything we hear is true. Sentence number 56 is, take it with a grain of salt. This means do not believe it completely. Be a little bit suspicious. If you have a coworker who always exaggerates stories, you might warn a new employee, listen to his stories, but take them with a grain of salt. It means understand that he might be lying or making it bigger than it is. It protects you from being gullible. If you read a rumor on the internet, you should take it with a grain of salt. It is a mark of intelligence. It shows you have critical thinking skills. You are telling the listener to use their own judgment and not just accept words as facts. Now, for a very specific superstition. In the world of theater and performance, it is considered bad luck to say good luck. Instead, we say, sentence number 57, break a leg. It sounds violent, doesn't it? Why would you want someone to break a bone? But in English culture, this is the most supportive thing you can say to someone before a performance, a speech, or a presentation. If your friend is about to go on stage to sing a song, do not say good luck. Smile and say break a leg. It means I hope you do a fantastic job. It is a fun, insider way of wishing success. It shows you understand the culture. Even before a big job interview, you can text your friend, break a leg. It adds a bit of humor and lightness to a stressful moment. It turns the pressure into a shared joke. In the business world, we often need to reconnect with people briefly. We don't need a long meeting. We just need to check the status of things. Sentence number 58 is, let's touch base. This comes from baseball, where players touch the base to be safe. In conversation, it means let us make contact briefly. You might say to a client, I will work on this report for a week, and then let's touch base next Monday. It implies a short, efficient update. It is very professional. It suggests that you are staying connected without wasting time. You can use it socially, too. We haven't seen each other in weeks. We should touch base soon. It is a low-pressure invitation to talk. It keeps the lines of communication open. We are almost at the end. Life involves conflict and hopefully resolution. When you end an argument or a competition, you want to make sure there is no lingering anger. Sentence number 59 is, no hard feelings. This is the phrase of peace. It means I am not angry and I hope you aren't either. If you apply for a job and you don't get it, but the manager calls to tell you, you can say thank you for the opportunity. No hard feelings. It shows immense class and maturity. If you and a friend argue about where to eat and you lose the argument, you can smile and say, okay, we will go to your restaurant. No hard feelings. It wipes the slate clean. It prevents bitterness from growing. It preserves the relationship for the future. It is a beautiful way to show that you value the person more than your ego. And finally, we have arrived at sentence number 60. The last sentence of our series. It is the promise of continuity. Sentence number 60 is keep in touch. This is what you say when you are parting ways, but you don't want it to be forever. You are saying goodbye, but not farewell. When you leave a job, you tell your colleagues, keep in touch. When you graduate from school, you write in your friends' yearbooks, keep in touch. It is an invitation to remain a part of someone's life. It puts the door slightly ajar. It says that even though we are physically separating, our connection remains. It is the perfect way to end a conversation with someone you care about. It is hopeful. It implies that the story is not over, just pausing. So here we are. We have collected 60 incredible sentences. From the casual, how is it going, to the thoughtful, keep in touch. Think about the journey you have been on. You have learned how to express joy, frustration, hesitation, and wisdom. You have learned how to be polite, how to be firm, and how to be kind. I want you to realize something important. You didn't just learn 60 sentences. You learned 60 ways to be yourself in English. You learned how to translate your personality into a new language. That is the ultimate goal. We don't learn English just to pass tests. We learn English to connect with other human beings, to share our souls, to do business, and to make friends across borders. I want you to make me a promise. Do not let these sentences sit in your notebook gathering dust. Use them. Make mistakes with them. Laugh about them. Say bite the bullet when you are scared. Say time flies when you are happy. Say it's not a big deal when you spill your coffee. Live these words. This has been a true labor of love for me, creating this series for you. I have imagined you listening in your cars, in your homes, in your schools, all over the world. And even though I cannot see you, I feel connected to you. We are touching base through this audio. If you have enjoyed this series, if you feel more confident now than you did at the beginning, then my job is done. But your job is just beginning. Go out there and speak. Let the world hear your voice. This is Jessica from English in Advance. Thank you for your time, your attention, and your trust. It has been an absolute pleasure. Keep practicing, keep smiling, and please promise me you will keep in touch. Goodbye for now, and good luck with your beautiful English journey.